Robert Whitehead is a distinguished Broadway producer who has brought to us all such successful plays as Member of the Wedding, The Lark, The Visit, and this season, A Man for All Seasons. Mr. Whitehead, you've seen these 8 concepts. What do you think of them from the practical point of view, artistically, economically?
Well, they're 2 different questions, though I think they're always interrelated in the theater. From a practical standpoint, I would say they all seem very functional. But that depends entirely, really, on what the author has given you to interpret and the way the director has conceived it and precisely how he wants to use that theater. So it's hard to make a broad statement. There are no absolutes in this, I don't think.
But most of them, interestingly, have eliminated or point the way to eliminating the proscenium. Does that interest you?
Yes, it's extremely interesting that in all 8 designs, they've eliminated the proscenium arch as we know it. Or if they haven't eliminated it, they've created conditions whereby they could get rid of it when they wanted to. Undoubtedly, you wonder why. One wonders why in all 8 of them this happens to be the case. I'm not sure that I can answer that in just a few seconds. I think that has something to do with the economics of the theater. It also has something to do with trends that are taking place now in our writing.
In the writing as well.
Yes.
Well, Mr. Whitehead, there's one more exhibit in this collection that we haven't seen yet, and that's an urban theater center by architect Frederick Kiesler, which we're going to study in a moment. The program in theater design, which we've briefly surveyed so far, was inspired by a complaint on the part of Arthur Miller at a meeting of theater artists in the offices of the Ford Foundation back in the spring of 1959. At that time, Mr. Miller said, why could he not write the kind of plays he wanted to write without the encumbrances he found in the Broadway theaters, which since 1905 had not changed except in the relocation of the footlights. And when all of these designs were completed, Mr. Miller told an interviewer from the New York Times that of all the designs, Frederick Kiesler's most successfully filled his own needs as a playwright, not only because of its economic advantage, but also because he believes the scope and the classic dimensions of it invite an intensely dramatic concept of theater. The economic advantages referred to by Arthur Miller hinge upon the fact that Mr. Kiesler's theater is designed as part of an office building that could comfortably amortize the cost of initial construction and subsequent upkeep. Almost 2 years ago, Camera 3 first presented the revolutionary work of Frederick Kiesler in a program on his Endless House. This theater is another reflection of Mr. Kiesler's concept of continuity in architecture. Recently, Mr. Kiesler wrote, "The Universal Theater is designed for many purposes. It does not try to project the playwright, the actor, the technicians into a distant future, into a dream house. It also does not merely modernize the style and equipment of contemporary theaters, but tries to bridge many centuries of the past leading to the next." Mr. Kiesler is with us again on Camera 3 today to explain his design in relation to his philosophy of architecture.
I'm very pleased to have had the opportunity to work with the Ford Foundation on creating this new Universal Theater, which is based on the Endless Theater of 1924, which already at that time had the first arena theater in the middle, 2 proscenium stages, and ramps leading way up into the auditorium. With other words, as we all feel today, and I was lucky also to feel that already at that time, we have to bring back magic into the theater. As far as the exterior, as far as the interior is concerned, have to base it again on the human being, on the actor, on the playwright, away from the encumbrances of the core of the auditorium or the core of the stage. With other words, the play is still the thing, and the thing is to play. Now, in the Universal, the stage director has all the opportunities to act with the auditorium as much as the actor acted till now within the proscenium. He can change it from a proscenium to an arena, to an environmental stage, to a ramp, or whatever he likes to do, without forcing the issue. With other words, here is an auditorium within one continuous shell. that gives him all the opportunities to use it as the playwright, as the actor, as the stage director sees fit. With other words, it is introducing new dynamics into space by means of our contemporary ways, light, projection, and different levels of acting. The arena stage, as it is done today, is still on one level in the middle of the auditorium. In the Universal, you continue the arena into the environmental stage way up into the ranks what were former the boxes or the balconies. With other words, there is a continuity in the universality of possibilities which you miss today in the theater. I'm very happy to see that we are really at the beginning of an architectural revolution in the theater, and we are waiting for the managers, real estate people and bankers to go into it and build at least half of those projects which you have seen before. I'm particularly interested to see that we are so much coinciding in this attempt with the playwright and with the actor. We are all unified in that respect. We want the new environment to create the new play. We have very often thought that it will be a time that will make it necessary to do that. The time is now. New York is looking forward to a new building boom in the theaters, which have been built, as far as I recollect, within 30 years to a large degree on Broadway. Here you see a floor plan of the whole complex of the Universal Theater. To the right is a lower section of the large theater. In the middle are the elevator banks of the skyscraper, which you will see a little bit later. Here is a section of the theater showing the stage without the hump of the lifting scenery, and that is the shell of the large theater, going back to the stage and now rising to the 30-story skyscraper, which includes 7 floors of television studios, radio studios, rental areas, production managers' offices, exhibitions places of about 6 floors, and so forth. All these units which make the life of the theater possible. With other words, you cannot put the theater just in the complex of a city. It would be a white elephant. It needs nourishment. It is not enough to make one beautiful head. It has to have the body, the legs, the feet, the circulatory system that feeds it. Now, the theater in itself has 3 important units. The large one, which are 3 towers, so-called communication towers, which are meant for projection all over the auditorium or into the stage inside. Also to take the projection from satellites, which we expect within 2 or 3 years to be feasible to the Bell laboratories. What you see here is part of the shell is taken off, so you may look in and see the transformation from an architectural point of view. Here is a temporary cyclorama that turns around, closes the proscenium up while the scenery is changed. Once the scenery is changed, the actors take the place, it revolves again and reveals the new scenery. There are many other ways how to do that, but this is one of the more architectural ways how to do it. Here we go into the auditorium, which consists of 3 levels of stadium areas. The lower part of the stadium area here can be changed into an arena, which you will see soon. These are the peripheral stages around. Now, without anybody in the audience leaving its place, the lower part changes into an arena. The actors come from the proscenium down, or from the peripheral stages, or from underneath. It is being used by the stage director. It can be closed again. The play continued only and concentrated on the proscenium stage. The box which is shown in the middle is the coordinating control, light and sound equipment. Here you see again a shot looking into the theater with the open arena and the proscenium at the same time to be used. Theater as such is really nothing more but an instrument to bring the magic, the curiosity back into theater architecture and make what the theater always has been, a mirror of everyone sitting in the audience and watching himself on the stage.
Mr. Whitehead, which of your productions would best fit into Mr. Kiesler's Universal Theater? How about A Man for All Seasons?
I think Man for All Seasons would be very exciting in Mr. Kiesler's theater. It's a beautiful theater. In fact, my most beautiful productions would be most effective in that theater. In fact, you asked me earlier, as a matter of fact, about a member of the wedding, and asked me to mention that on this program. Well, far be it from me to put any qualifications on Mr. Kiesler's theater. I would think that there might be problems in producing that play in there. It was a beautiful play, but there was a personal quality and a tremendous intimacy in it, which I feel might possibly be doubtful in Mr. Kiesler's theater. The question of the visit would be excellent. Certainly Man for All Seasons would be very exciting. I'm sure that, Frederick, you don't agree with me. I'm sure you think Member of the Wedding would
I do agree, because I don't think we can do everything for everything. That's out of question. But I do feel that we enter an entirely new era, as you said it often before,
right,
and that we still cannot abandon the proscenium stage, because that intimacy, that focusing on a certain intimacy of a scene, of a dialogue, of a play, is still extremely important. But what is more important, I think, is that in all these productions, we have to come back to the poet. We have to come back to the human being. We have again to make it a human experience and not an experience of a technical performance, where although we don't see it, but we feel all the mechanisms behind it. And we watch until they break down to have our fun on it. That is over. We have a very simplified scenery, a very simplified auditorium, with all the possibility of transformation within one big unit. And it's up to you, Mr. Whitehead.
Yes, but don't you think the emotional and the human qualities, which I certainly agree must come through, and that can come through in a barn if it exists within the actors and within the realization of the play.
Yes, but the barn, you see, has many limitations. I mean, we have today the possibilities for a much wider expanse and a much greater intimacy to consider.
I think no doubt that's going to come. Gentlemen, thank you. Our thanks to architect Frederick Kiesler and producer Robert Whitehead for joining us today on Camera 3.